Aloha, and welcome to the Roy and Betty Sakamoto Real Estate Program. And here we are. Here we are again, Roy.
Here we are.
We missed you last week.
I know.
That was a big miss for me.
Well,
I kind of fumbled through it a bit, but it was a lot of fun. And I had my co-star here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
And so as long as Gary's here, we're good.
We're always good.
We're always good. So if Gary's here, everything is good. You know, we have a lot of things we kind of would like to talk about today. One is what's going on at Kapalua, the tournaments, the fact that they're going away. I have a belief that they will come back. Now, at the moment, there's 4 people sitting here. I'm only one of them. There's one who's a little questionable, like, yeah, they might. And then the other 2 are definite no's. So let's hear what Roy Sakamoto, who's in the thick of it, can tell us about what's going to happen.
Well, you know, the sad part is Century Insurance, the major sponsors of the Century Tournament of Champions here, had a real affinity for Maui. Century is based in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. They feel a lot of the same vibes in Wisconsin are felt here on Maui. It's kind of a village feel, and you know, I know pretty much for a fact that they held out sponsoring anything on the PGA Tour, waiting for the course, hopefully to reopen the plantation course at Kapalua. But apparently the decision has been made by the executive council at the PGA Tour that expenses do not justify having a tournament here, the Century Tournament, or the Sony on Oahu.
Now, the PGA Tour just became a profit versus a not-for-profit.
Right,
also.
they are a for-profit, so the whole picture has changed, and they presumably lost a lot of money on the last Century Tournament. They're going head-to-head against NFL football, and anything that goes against NFL football is pretty much second-rate or third-rate or whatever as far as audience attendance.
But do you think that ever should have happened, that it ended up going head-to-head with NFL football? It didn't in the beginning.
Well, you know, no, not in the beginning, but NFL football has become such a big moneymaker for all the networks. You know, it's you look at all the websites that advertise betting on football and baseball and so forth, and it's big business, not only for the children, but you know, all age groups. NFL football is number one.
I'm sure that it is, but it's not like golf isn't there somewhere, and people watch golf, and it really is great. But anyway, let's keep going.
No,
let's
but,
talk
you know,
a little more.
Again, you know, if there's an NFL football game, I don't care who's playing, versus you know, a golf tournament, majority of people are going to be watching the football. And unfortunately, the Century Tournament was going up against the NFL playoffs, which, you know, the playoffs kind of sort out the teams leading up to the Super Bowl. So a lot of people are interested, no matter if you're a New York Giants fan or a Buffalo Bills fan or whatever. Even if your team isn't playing, you want to see who your team might be playing in the future and so forth. And
how did the dates, excuse me for this interrupting again, how did the dates all change? Remember, in the early days when the tournaments were happening here, it was great because we weren't going up against NFL football.
Well, we were
but early games.
Well, going way, way back to the early, like the Kapalua Invitational and so forth, that Mark Rolfing put together years and years ago.
And Mark put together a great tournament there.
Well, you know, the start of it was part of what was the Hawaiian Open, tying in.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
tying in with the Hawaiian Open, and Mark, with his contacts and so forth, was able to get like Arnold Palmer to fly over for a day, a pro-am at the Bay course. There was no plantation course then.
Do you remember the day Arnold Palmer was sitting on a table in the?
Yeah, that was a different tournament.
Was it? Okay, that was funny.
Tournament. And,
he was sitting on the table to keep his feet dry.
Right, yeah. But, you know, I mean, that was a big name to come over and play in a one-day pro-am. at Kapalua. They flew over on Royal Hawaiian Airlines, and just for the day. And a few amateurs were able to play with these pros. Arnold Palmer and quite a few of the bigger names that of golf in the past.
Was that when Charlie Pride was here playing?
Charlie was a little bit later.
Was he?
Back to when I think it was Lincoln Mercury days.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah. He loved it, though. He loved being over here.
But even like the Lincoln Mercury, which was a precursor to all this, all these big tournaments and so forth, this was kind of unofficial money. It was in, I think, October.
I think you're right, October.
There'd be, I don't know, 20 or so professionals that would come over, play with amateurs, the Pro-Am. You'd have 2 days of the Pro-Am. You'd play with one professional one day and another professional the second day. And a lot of parties. It was good fun. It was unofficial money for the professionals, but they'd bring their families over and so forth. And
they would all come to the parties.
Yeah. And, one thing they found was unofficial money still is spendable.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
It still is spendable.
Yeah. And it wasn't big money compared to, the purses nowadays, but good fun. And, maybe we can regenerate something like that again sometime in the future.
That's a great statement. Maybe Mark would get into that with us. Maybe he's already thinking about it.
Well, yeah.
He could be.
I think he's still on the mainland right now, but, it's worth throwing a few ideas up and seeing what can be done.
Yep. Debbie Rolfing's back here now. She might throw in some good luck for us.
The sad part is, the impact on the economy. There's been anywhere from $40 to $50 million impact stated as far as losing both the Century and the Sony in Honolulu. There's a lot of people that come over just to watch these tournaments. The impact on tax revenue, is huge, as well as just the impact of exposure to the world, not only the U.S., but the world, in terms of, hey, come on over to Hawaii, come on over to Oahu, come on over to Maui, come to Maui, come to Kapalua. So there's a big impact.
Television advertising, too, is going out to everybody.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And the advertising was fun and great.
Yeah. If you're sitting in Sweating Shorts, Nebraska in January and you're watching TV and all of a sudden you see a golf tournament's on and there's whales popping and surfers and so forth. And, it's makes you think about, wow, maybe that's a place I want to visit.
Can you imagine really whales popping? I mean, really, when you picture that and you're in Buffalo, New York.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's so many places that you would be shocked to actually see that happen.
But again, bottom line, shall I watch the whales and golf or watch NFL football?
Well, that was really more later because in the early days, plus you can tape it and you still get to see all the ads.
Yeah, there's possibly ways, timing-wise, it could have worked out. I know the Waste Management Tournament, which is a huge tournament in Phoenix, and it's held the same weekend as Super Bowl weekend. And, they finish before the Super Bowl unless there's a playoff. But they get a big viewership, because they're not competing against any football games. And maybe there was a way to arrange with the networks to have the tournament maybe start early Hawaii time, maybe like 8 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m.,
6 a.m.
Well,
people would get up and they'd record it anyway.
Well, but you're looking at prime time on the mainland.
And, I see what you're saying.
With the 6-hour time difference and so forth. But maybe there was a way to work it out with the networks and so forth. But anyway, that's now apparently gone. But also the impact on the not-for-profits here on Maui with the loss of the Century. And I understand Century still wants to keep their hands on and support the local charities here, even though they're not going to be the major sponsors of a great golf tournament here. Hopefully Century will continue their help. And Mr. Yanai, the owner of the golf courses at Kapalua, comes in a couple of weeks, and I think we'll be chatting some more about maybe helping out the Maui not-for-profits that benefited from the golf tournament.
He did already do something for every
right.
charity that's involved in the golf tournament.
Right. Every charity that was involved in the 2025 tournament received checks in the same amount as they got for 2025. They got checks this year for, just because. And, again, I've got a bone to pick with the media, print media, TV, radio, and so forth. They characterize Mr. Yanai as the rich Japanese investor, and, it's become a money grab and so forth. Not true. He has a great affinity for Maui, loves Maui, supporting the local charities out of his own pocket to the tune of $750,000. That's not a careless gesture. It's coming from somebody that has a lot of affinity.
He absolutely does.
For Maui. On the water situation, there's a big dispute with Maui Land and Pine on the water situation and so forth. And unfortunately, it's hurt a lot of the taro farmers in Honokahau Valley. And I know the Honokahau Valley farmers are saying, also, majority of them, the rich Japanese investor and so forth, stealing our water. Well, I know for a fact that Mr. Yanai feels deeply about the farmers there. He'd like to do everything possible to help them, and as well as help the West Maui community in restoring normal water flow. This goes back again, back to 2018, 2019, and when Hurricane Lane and Olivia came through, caused landslides in the main water source ditch in the Honokahau Mountains, and it's unfortunate.
Yes,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
There was kind of on my soapbox right now, but there was a seaworm meeting, and to me the seaworm kind of is appropriate. It stands for Commission on Water Resource Management. I'm not particularly fond of most of the commissioners on the panel, and there was a hearing on Tuesday with trying to approve whether or not Maui Land and Pineapple, with a modest $140,000 slap on the wrist, has fulfilled all their past obligations to fix the ditch. And in 2021, Maui Land and Pine was given the order to take care and remediate the problems in the water source, the main water source, which was caused by landslides from Olivia and Lane, hurricanes Olivia and Lane. And Maui Land and Pineapple didn't do anything until 2025. So for 4 years, they kind of sat on their hands, and then...
what happened to the money? They had gotten the money already?
Well, that's another issue, but...
Okay.
So the Seaworm fined them $140,000 last year for this non-performance. That's such a modest slap on the wrist. It's kind of like, no. They could have fined them $5,000 a day going back 4 years. And, why just a slap on the wrist? And I don't get it.
No, I don't either.
And, again, I'll get off my soapbox, but Seaworm...
But it's worth talking about it, Roy.
Well, yeah.
Nobody is talking about it.
Well, I think, Seaworm should have hearings on Maui so the local people can come out and voice their opinions and so forth. Yesterday, they mentioned that they can't come to Maui because there's a $3,000 or so expense for them in airfare and so forth to bring over all the personnel involved. Hey, $3,000, we're talking about a huge economic impact on Maui. And if the state can't find $3,000 to fly the Seaworm Commission over, as well as their staff and so forth, what are we talking about? Like this economic impact for the loss of the century and so forth because of the lack of water is huge. $3,000 is nothing.
And Maui is part of the state of Hawaii.
Why not get the money from Maui Land and Pineapple instead of a $140,000 slap on the wrist? Give them a $143,000 slap on the wrist. You use the $3,000 to fly the people over and have the hearing here on Maui. There's a lot of people here on Maui, especially up in the valley, in the Honoka'a Valley and so forth, who don't have access to the internet. And either for lack of knowledge or lack of money and so forth, they cannot testify virtually, by Zoom or whatever, but would turn out and testify in person.
I think you're right. They absolutely would turn out in person and testify.
Sure. What's happening up there in the valley is horrendous. This inconsistent flow of water is causing their taro crops to have dry rot. It's horrible. And it's not, for most of them, it's not their primary source of income because a lot of them have other jobs. They work at hotels or golf courses or restaurants. But it's a way of life. It's an old Hawaiian tradition. And taro farming is hard work. You're out there in the water and the mud and so forth, 8-10 hours a day, and then you go to your regular job. You're not going to get rich taro farming, but it's carrying on the tradition.
And I think you're right. Its families have done it, and they are carrying on a tradition for their family and for the state of Hawaii, for Maui County, etc.
Yeah,
it's huge. It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah,
for the whole state.
And I'm sure this lawsuit with the water situation will reach a head sooner or later. The county has been no help. County makes a lot of noise about wanting to take over the water rights and so forth. Why aren't you doing something, county, instead of just talking about it? You don't have the money, so, I'm not going to say put up or shut up, but, enough talk about trying to take over the water resources for West Maui. You don't have the money, so why don't you kind of try to mediate this issue between TY management and Maui Land and Pine?
Absolutely. There should be an answer. Now, I hate to say this, but we are running.
I know.
We're going to pretty soon have a...
Well,
they're going to cut us off.
I know. I got all fired up about this. And,
no, but you are fired up, and you should be.
Well,
It's great that you've said it out loud.
I've been involved, not, in the front lines and so forth of this fight as far as the water and so forth, but it's been thoroughly frustrating. And, Maui Land and Pineapple was a great farming and community-based organization. A lot of employees, lots of families really dependent on Maui Land and Pineapple.
No question.
And unfortunately, Pineapple phased out. There were economic reasons for it. But they had the crown jewel of the resort world and the Kapalua Resort. Colin Cameron really master planned the resort. And there was a lot of talk about disappearing architecture, if you remember.
Yes, I sure do.
Basically having low-rise, the condominiums and hotels and so forth at Kapalua. There were 3 golf courses at one point. And, it was great.
The 3 golf courses were spectacular for the whole resort. I mean, the whole of Maui.
Right.
Because there was always a golf course that locals could get to play and had a good discount at.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of that has changed also.
I'll do one more soapbox item, but...
Okay, go for it.
Mr. Yanai, when he bought the plantation course, paid $50 million for it. He saved Maui Land and Pineapple from bankruptcy. And instead of, extending a hand out to Mr. Yanai, who could have been one of the best partners, the best for Maui Land and Pineapple, they've, continued to take from him. He's given them a lot of money besides the initial $50 million when he bought the plantation course. He bought the golf academy. He's bought the service maintenance facilities and so forth. And he's put over $120 million into the pockets of MLP, Maui Land and Pine. And I can't see why they're playing games with him. He could have been their best partner, and hate to say it, but he could also be their worst enemy. And, I don't get it.
No.
A company that becomes all money grabbing and bottom line conscious should look in the mirror and say, is this what we want for the community? Or do we not care about the community and just want to put dollars in our pockets?
Well, I think you've said a lot, and I think it is good that you've been able to take that time, because I think whoever's listening today or can listen to it another day, will be able to learn a lot from this. So, yeah.
Anyway, so what about the real estate world?
What about the real estate world? Well, I mean, let's just say right now, the real estate world has fewer listings than it had at one time. Kapalua is still doing very well. There's a lot of issues going on right now with the short-term rental question, which is freaking out some people. But at Kapalua, it seems to be doing okay. But there's some big issues, and hopefully people will stand up to them.
Yeah, the condo market, again, with the big cloud hanging over it, with this bill banning vacation renting in apartment zone properties, we've seen 30, 35, 40% drops in prices.
Yes.
And, there's still great apartments, great condominiums, a lot of amenities. And, again, combining the loss of revenue, tax revenue from the loss of the golf tournaments, and loss of revenue.
It hurts a lot of people.
Loss of revenue from vacation renting of these apartments. And, it's, I don't know. The county council has a big job on their hands trying to make the budget work.
How many of these people, I mean, we're going to say just quote these people, do you think will end up doing long-term rentals in the condominiums that they've used for vacations when they're here?
Very small minority.
Very small minority. So
Right.
This is not going to change or give housing to people who don't have housing.
No.
But we've had 3 years. We could have built any number.
Oh,
We,
absolutely.
the county of Maui, could have done almost anything. The state of Hawaii could have stepped in. And I think something could have happened within these 3 years. My
No
opinion.
question.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anyway, it's, in the meantime, I think the residential market is maintaining well, if not even appreciating. So, select properties are still showing appreciation.
I think you're right. And there's no question about it. Actually, the Kapalua properties are doing fairly well right now.
Yeah.
They may be down a little, but I'm not so sure they are. The houses are doing well.
The houses are doing well. The condominiums are down like everywhere else. And again, if you're zoned apartments, Kihei, Wailea, Ka'anapali, doesn't matter. If you're zone hotel, then you're fine for vacation renting, no problems.
Also, though, think about the people who bought because they believed that the county of Maui was backing what they were allowing.
Absolutely.
For you can do short-term rentals.
Well, again, that'll sort out in various lawsuits.
I hope so, because it's very unfair to people who bought a place and are now not able to rent it.
Right.
Now, it looks like we are now with a 1-minute warning, and we're going to have Danny Couch all over us in a minute.
Right.
But Danny will be back with the I Love Hawaii. And regardless of anything else, I love Hawaii.
We all love Hawaii.
More than anything else. We are some of the luckiest people in the world to be able to live in Maui, Hawaii. We are the luckiest people in the world. Thank you, Danny Couch. We all love Hawaii. Aloha.